By the rivers of Babylon, yeah, we sat down and we cried when we remembered Jerusalem. We were sick, Lord, near to dying. By the
Well, let me start this solo. My bad. Shalom, shalom, family. Welcome to another Bible study. My name is Uzi Alewi, one of the teachers of congregation D.C.B CHOKMAH BINAH, located in the Red Hook section of Brooklyn. Thanking the Creator of heaven and earth for life, food, clothing, and shelter, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Like to apologize to everyone for the last couple of weeks. We actually were the first week we were at a wedding, and the second week the rabbi was actually being ordained. So I just like to say publicly to Rabbi Chief Binyamin, congratulations on your ordination. I don't know if I'm saying it right, if that's even a word, but
Yeah, thank you. Yes, ordination.
ordination. So we thank the Most High God for you and all the work that you do, and that you got to this level, I guess. I know you graduated a while back, but the actual ordination was done just last week, and hopefully, if we get permission from the chief rabbi to post, we will post it up on this channel, his actual ordination speech, and so that everybody will be able to see it. All right, so thank you all, and we'll be here today. Chief Rabbi will be going into the role of a prophet. I'm going to be minimal. I'm not really going to be doing much today because actually I am going on a trip and I'm getting prepared, doing the final stuff. So I'll turn it over to the Rabbi, Chief Binyamin, and shalom, shalom to everyone out there.
Give
Rabbi?
him praise and honor to the Most High, Jehovah God, and thanking him for our lives, thanking him for this opportunity to open up his word this day, and praying that he would give us peace of mind, that he would grant us knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and show us the way that we should walk before him. For we are grateful to him for all that he does on our behalf. Praying that he would be with everyone that is joining us this morning, and praying that he would also be with those who will be joining the video later on, those that watch the replay. Asking that the Most High Jehovah God would bless us with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, so as we open up his word, that we would be able to receive the truth of his word, that we would obtain knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and that we would serve him in a manner that is pleasing in his sight. So again, we are grateful to the King of the universe for all that he does for us. Hallelujah. Amen. And as it was mentioned, we did miss 2 weeks due to traveling. As it was just mentioned, both of us were traveling the first week, and then I did traveling the following week. And Chief Uziel is actually traveling this week. But as you mentioned, we were able to at least start the discussion, get the discussion going this morning while he's preparing to leave. So you may not hear, he may jump in later on at the end, as we close, but he is preparing to travel very soon. So we're just praying that the Most High blesses him on his travels and allows him to return safely. And just For next week, just to talk about it now, for next week, because he will be away next week, but we will work out, him and I will discuss during the week how to get things going. So just as a precursor, we may or may not have a Bible study next week, but we'll keep it. Of course, you'll get the updates on this channel throughout the week of what's going to happen. So for today, we're going to be discussing the role of a prophet. We're going to go to two sections of the Holy Scriptures within the Old Testament to describe what a prophet is. Not a full detail, because we know that there are many prophets that existed throughout history as we read throughout the Holy Scriptures. But in terms of the law that the Most High God has given, we're going to read about the role of a prophet, and not just the role of the prophet, but also the role of the general audience of a prophet, or the general audience of the prophets. So at this time, just praying that the Most High will open up our lips that our mouths may declare his praise as we open up his word. And, our attempt is every week, every Sunday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. is to have these Bible discussions, which are open to the public. So feel free to invite your family and your friends. Invite those, regardless of their faith background. These discussions are open to everyone. So as long as the Bible is the foundation of your faith, then these discussions are open for you. So we do invite you to share it to your family and to your friends, so that we may all obtain the truth. And that's our attempt. It is basically, even though you might hear the voices of two people speaking, but this is an open discussion. Normally we'll spend 20 minutes discussing the topic of the day, and we are open to topics. We have topics that are lined up based on the suggestions that people have given. You can feel free to put suggestions of topics within the chat, within the live chat, and also in the chat of the videos when they have concluded. So you can put your suggestions, and we do have some topics that are still lined up. But we just wanted to get back on track with the Bible studies, and just because we were going for 2 weeks. So today's topic is not necessarily a topic that was suggested, but since we were going for 2 weeks and coming back, we're just going to giving people an opportunity to get reacclimated to the Bible study as we continue to go forth week by week. So again, this is every Sunday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. It's basically an open discussion, Bible study, as we call it. Minimal debate. There's going to be some disagreements that we may have, but the purpose is not to have full all-out debates when we're having our discussions. Our goal is to come to a conclusion together. So this week, again, we're going to have the discussion regarding the role of a prophet. We're going to go first into the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 13, which gives a detail of the role of a prophet in regards to the people. So Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse 1, and actually this verse, I believe in the King James Version, is actually appended to the end of chapter 12. I believe that's so. In many of the versions of the Holy Scriptures that you may be reading, this verse may not be there, but in the Holy Scriptures, all of the Holy Scripture editions or the Holy Scripture translations, such as the JPS, which we are reading from, this is Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse 1. And again, this verse in other translations, such as King James, may be appended to the end of Deuteronomy chapter 12. So it starts off by saying, all this word which I command you that you shall observe to do, thou shalt not add thereto, nor diminish from it. And this verse is also a verse that is repeated from Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 2. Again, we are not allowed to add to any of the command of the Most High God or take away from it. So being that we know that the Most High lives forever, he's the creator of the heavens and the earth, he's the first and he's the last, everything that he has spoken will come to pass. Everything that he spoke about, we have to make sure that we adhere to it. So when it comes to the commandments, statutes, and judgments that he gives us, we have to make sure that we follow them distinctly. And that's why this verse is, is when we continue to read within this chapter, it's better that this verse is appended to Deuteronomy chapter 13 as opposed to Deuteronomy chapter 12. Because it goes on to say, if there arise in the midst of thee a prophet or a dream of dreams, and he give thee a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder come to pass, whereof he spoke unto thee, saying, let us go after other gods which thou hast not known, and let us serve them. Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet or unto that dream of dreams, for Jehovah your God putteth you to proof to know whether you do love Jehovah your God with all your heart, with all your soul. And just stopping here real quick as a reminder, the convention that we have here for our Bible study is that we do pronounce the name of God in the appropriate locations. So in many of the editions of your Bible where you see the Lord, as it has it here, the Lord with all capital letters, or it may have Lord with the capital L, regardless of where its location is in the sentence. In the Hebrew text, the Hebrew manuscript, which is where the Old Testament is translated from, about at least 95% of the Old Testament of the Holy Scriptures, the original text is in Hebrew. The rest of it, there are some sections such as the book of Daniel and the book of Ezra, which have Aramaic text. But in the original Hebrew text, the name of God is specified, and we pronounce it here as Yehovah, as it is here, trying to highlight it here. The Yod Hey Wow Hey, which is corresponds to the YHWH in the English characters. And again, the pronunciation that we do here is Yehovah, and many people pronounce it as Yahweh. So just to give that convention, so as we read, we know the God that we're speaking about and the God that is speaking to us. So at this time, we know that Yehovah God is the one that is speaking to us and giving us this command, and the command is in regards to the prophets. So again, I'll read that verse 4. Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet, or unto that dream of dreams, for Jehovah your God puts you to truth to know whether you do love Jehovah your God with all your heart and with all your soul. After that, Jehovah your God after Jehovah your God shall you walk, and him shall you serve. Let me read that verse 5 again. I'm just reading because I'm reading the chat and this at the same time. I apologize for that. So verse 5, after Jehovah your God shall you walk, and him shall you fear, and his commandments shall you keep, and unto his voice shall you hearken, and him shall you serve, and unto him shall you cleave. And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he hath spoken perversion against Jehovah your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to draw you aside out of the way which Jehovah your God commanded you to walk in. So shalt thou put away the evil from the midst of thee. Now we're going to stop here within this this chapter. The chapter goes into other things in regards to idolatry. Things, we actually spoke about idolatry in sessions before, but again, we are focusing on prophets and prophecy, the role of a prophet and the role of the audience of the prophet. So we see here that if there is going to be a prophet that will come up, or a dream of dreams as it mentions, and even though they give a sign or speak of something and it does come to pass, if they speak about any God beside Jehovah God, if they speak about any God beside Yahweh God, now again, just to give the both pronunciations that people are familiar with, if they speak about another God besides the one creator of the heaven and the earth, then we are commanded by Jehovah God not to hearken unto that prophet, not to listen to that prophet. And within the land of Israel, where there would be judges set up according to the system that Jehovah God had placed within that land, then that prophet or that dream would be put to death. But overall, whether past, present, or future, if someone comes up, male or female, and they come up or they stand as a prophet, whether they say that they're a prophet or people say that they are a prophet, and they give signs and wonders, and again, if those things come to pass, Jehovah God says not to believe them if they are speaking about another God, if they are speaking about anyone else beside Jehovah God. And that's something that is important for us to remember again. So as we are having this discussion today, this is not a topic that was suggested, but in the weeks to come, when we get into some of the topics that are suggested, this is something that we have to bear in mind, that we have to keep our mind focused. So as we are having, again, these Bible studies every week, and we want to make sure that our mind is focused on the true and the living God, that we have to make sure that we follow his words and his words alone, and we are not allowed to have ourselves be directed to anyone else. Next, we're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 18. And Deuteronomy chapter 18 talks about various levels. When you look at it in totality, it talks about various levels of those that will communicate with the children of Yisrael primarily and receive word from the Most High God. So it starts off talking about the priests and the Levites. But again, we are talking about the prophets today. But just to give an overview of what Deuteronomy chapter 18 is talking about, because understanding Deuteronomy chapter 18 will help us to understand specifically when it's talking about the prophet. So it talks about the priests in the beginning, because the priests are the ones that would, and especially the high priest would be the ones that will communicate between the children of Israel and the Most High God. So for Deuteronomy chapter 18, we are going to start from verse 10. Actually, we'll start from verse 9. Now, we're not going to focus on some of these verses that are being spoken about initially. Again, we're starting from here for a purpose, but then we're going to speak primarily about the prophet, which is going to be at the end of the chapter. So Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 9 says, "When thou art come into the land which Jehovah your God gives you, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone that makes his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, one that uses divination, a soothsayer, or an enchanter, or a sorcerer, or a charmer, or one that consults a ghost, or a familiar spirit, or a necromancer. For whosoever does these things is an abomination to Jehovah. And because of these abominations, Jehovah your God is driving them out from before you. Thou shalt be wholehearted with Jehovah your God. For these nations that thou art to dispossess, hearken unto soothsayers and unto diviners, but as for thee, Jehovah your God have not suffered thee so to do." And again, when we get to the next verse, we're going to start talking about prophets again. But just to give an overview of what we just said, because the chapter again starts off talking about priests, and the priests are the ones that are responsible for connecting the children of Israel with the Most High God, and ultimately connecting, or through the children of Israel overall as a nation, connecting the nations of the earth with the Most High God, the true and the living God. And it goes from there talking about we are not allowed to deal with any type of, as I mentioned, necromancy, dealing with ghosts, familiar spirits. That today translates into same thing, diviners, witchcraft, astrology. These are the things that we are prohibited from getting into. And we'll have a more detailed discussion in terms of divination and astrology and things like that in the time to come. That will be a subject all by itself. But this is a precursor to the verses that we are about to read, because the Most High God is telling us not to delve down, the path of these individuals or these systems, because as it gets in verse 15, "A prophet will Jehovah your God raise up unto thee from the midst of thee of thy brethren, like unto me, unto him you shall hearken. So now this is Moses speaking. So Moses is telling the children of Israel that don't listen to, diviners, again, witches, sorcerers, anybody that, communicates with the dead in order to try to get any answers of what's happening in their lives today or in terms of what's going to happen in the future. Because as Moses says, that a prophet will Jehovah your God raise up unto thee from the midst of thee of thy brethren, like unto me, unto him you shall hearken. And it's not speaking about just one particular prophet. It's talking about the system of prophecy or the system of prophets that the Most High God will set up. So what Moses is leading into is saying that the children of Israel should hearken unto the prophets that will speak the word of the Most High God directly from Jehovah God. As it said in verse 16, as we continue, according to all that thou didst desire of Jehovah thy God in Horeb in the day of the assembly, saying, let me not hear again the voice of Jehovah my God, neither let me see this great fire anymore, that I die not. So remembering in the book of Exodus chapter 20, where we read about Jehovah God appearing to the children of Israel and speaking what we know is the 10 Commandments, that the children of Israel did not want to continue hearing the voice of God any longer. The great fire that existed on Mount Sinai was there, and the children of Israel were basically afraid. So the children of Israel went to Moses at that time and told Moses to go up into the mountain to communicate with the Most High God directly, and for Moses to bring the word back, because they didn't want to, they could not stand at that time to hear the voice of the Most High God speaking unto them. So that's why the system of prophecy or the system of the prophets was set up, so that there would be a line of communication between the Most High God and the children of Israel, and ultimately between the Most High God and the nations of the earth. So there will be prophets that will come up speaking the word of the Most High God. So one of the things that people misunderstand about this passage is thinking that it's talking about just one prophet alone throughout history that's going to rise up. This is talking about a system of prophets that will communicate the word of the Most High God. So it goes into verse 17, it says, and Jehovah said unto me, they have well said that which they have spoken. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren like unto thee, and I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. But the prophet that shall speak a word presumptuously in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other gods, that same prophet shall die. And if thou say in thy heart, how shall we know the word which Jehovah have not spoken? When a prophet speaks in the name of Jehovah, if the thing follow not, nor come to pass, that is the thing which Jehovah have not spoken. The prophet have spoken it presumptuously, thou shalt not be afraid of him. So the Most High God is communicating through Moses at this time, saying that prophets will be sent, and the prophets will be sent in the name of Jehovah God. And we as the audience of those prophets have to listen to the word that Jehovah God is speaking unto us. And if we don't listen to those words, then Jehovah God said that he will require it of us. So there would be punishment that we would be incurred for not following the words of Jehovah God as is delivered to us from the prophets. So this is basically, as we're reading throughout the Holy Scriptures, we're reading throughout the Bible, that we have to be able to decipher between the words of the Most High and what may not be the words of the Most High God. And just know that, as it's said here, that when a prophet speaks in the name of Jehovah God, that whatever, or if that prophet was sent directly by the Jehovah God, then those words will come to pass. But there will arise prophets. And again, that applied back then, it applies now, and it will apply in the future. That if a prophet comes up that speaks, that or that says that he or she is saying that they speak in the name of Jehovah God, or people are saying that this individual represents Jehovah God or is speaking the word of Jehovah God directly, if they say something and that thing does not come to pass, then we don't have to worry about that. just know that that's not that prophet was not sent by Jehovah God, and we do not have to listen to that prophet, and the Most High God would take care of everything after that. So there's a contrast here that we see in Deuteronomy chapters 13 and 18. That in 13, there will be a prophet or a dream of dreams that will rise up, speak of things, those things come to pass, but yet that prophet speaks in the name of another God, or speaks in the name of a false God, or speaks in the names of false gods. And at that time, Jehovah God said, don't hearken to that prophet. That prophet was just sent to test it to see whether or not we're going to follow Jehovah God or not. So there will be people that will come up, past, present, and future, that will speak about things, and those things come to pass. But ultimately, the end of the matter is, are they speaking about Jehovah God or not? Or are they trying to direct us to a false God? Even though those things, those signs, those wonders that they speak about came to pass. So that's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is you have a prophet that is speaking strictly about Jehovah God, saying that there is no God beside Jehovah. And they are speaking of things, but those things do not come to pass. Then we also know that that is a false prophet, because Jehovah God did not send that individual. So those are two ends of the spectrum, and we as the audience of those prophets, we have to know or be able to decipher or discern between what is true and what is lie, or what are lies. And that is very important for us as we continue to read throughout the Bible, that we have to be able to decipher for ourselves. And as we're living, within this world, we have to be able to decipher or discern between what is right and what is wrong, between what is good and what is evil, between what is true and what are lies. So these are the two chapters that we are focusing on today. Again, we spend about 20 minutes, having our discussion of the topic, and then open the discussion, for comments or questions. So I'm gonna, as again, Chief Uziel is getting ready for his trip, so just I'm gonna be going into the chat right now on YouTube. So those that may have questions or comments may feel free to put them in there at this time. Again, just thanking the Most High for everyone that is in attendance today, and praying that the Most High will bless everyone. So I'm going through okay, so the question here is, the first question, it's a few questions. So the first question, why did the old prophet lie to the man of God in 1 Kings 13? So let's go to that book. I'll probably tell you right now, we won't get a direct answer, but let's see, 1 Kings 13. And I'll try to read this fast, because there's a lot of information. So 1 Kings, let me make sure, 1 Kings 13. And behold, there came a man of God out of Judah by the word of Jehovah unto Bethel, and Jeroboam was standing by the altar to offer. So also bearing in mind the time frame that this is in, this is when the kingdom, or I should say the nation of Israel, was split into the two kingdoms after the reign of Solomon. So you had the northern kingdom, which was led by the tribe of Ephraim, and at this time the first king of the northern tribe is Jeroboam. And also in the southern kingdom, which is the kingdom led by the tribe of Judah, was led by Rehoboam. So again, and behold, there came a man of God out of Judah by the word of Jehovah unto Bethel, and Jeroboam was standing by the altar to offer. And he cried against the altar by the word of Jehovah, and said, O altar, thus says Jehovah, behold, a son shall be born unto the house of David, the house of David, Josiah by name, and unto thee shall he sacrifice the priests of the high places that offer unto thee upon thee, and men's bones shall they burn upon thee. That now Jeroboam was an evil king, and he's known as leading the children of Israel astray. That is usually the statement that is attached to his name. And when the kingdom was split and he was the first king that reigned over the northern kingdom, he built altars and houses of worship to foreign gods in order that the children of Israel would not go into Jerusalem to worship the true and the living God the 3 times in a year, the 3 times in a year that we have spoken about in previous sessions of our Bible study. So because of the anger of the Most High, he sent this prophet against Jeroboam and to prophesy against him and against this altar. And the king Josiah was already mentioned, generations before he was even born. And he gave us, this verse 3, and he gave a sign the same day, saying, this is the sign which Jehovah hath spoken. Behold, the altar shall be rent, and the ashes that are upon it shall be poured out. And it came to pass when the king heard the saying of the man of God, which he cried against the altar in Beit El, that Jeroboam put forth his hand from the altar, saying, lay hold on him. And his hand which he put forth against him dried up, so that he could not draw it back to him. The altar also was rent, and the ashes poured out from the altar, according to the sign which the man of God had given by the word of Jehovah. And the king answered and said unto the man of God, entreat now the favor of Jehovah thy God, and pray for me that my hand may be restored. And the man of God entreated Jehovah, and the king's hand restored him, and became as it was before. And the king said unto the man of God, come home with me, and refresh thyself, and I will give thee a reward. And the man of God said unto the king, if thou wilt give me half thy house, I will not go in with thee, neither will I eat bread nor drink water in this place. For it so was charged me by the word of Jehovah, saying, thou shalt eat no bread, nor drink water, neither return by the way that thou camest. That's a very important verse to remember as we continue reading. And this is a good question because also it relates exactly to the topic that we're speaking about today. So this is the prophet of the Most High, Jehovah God, that was sent to Jeroboam to prophesy against him and against the altars, or specifically this altar. Because again, Jeroboam raised up 2 altars, 2 primary altars in the northern part of his kingdom and in the southern part of his kingdom. So this is the one that's in Beit El, which is towards the southern part of the kingdom. And this prophet was sent by Jehovah God. Again, this prophet received the word of Jehovah God directly. He heard the voice of Jehovah God, whether it was in a vision or whether it was in a dream. We know that only Moses was able to speak to Jehovah God, as it mentions, mouth to mouth or face to face. But any other prophet actually will, time permitting, we'll actually go to that verse as we conclude the topic of prophets. And so this prophet received word from Jehovah God directly. So Jehovah God told his prophet that when he's going to deliver this word to Jeroboam and when he's leaving Jeroboam, that he shall eat no bread, nor drink water, neither return by the way that he came. So the direction that he went to Beit El is not the direction that he should take when leaving in order to return home. And anybody that he passes by, he's not allowed to eat any bread or drink any water from them, but he's to keep going straight on his way. Verse 10. So he went another way and returned not by the way that he came to Beit El. So he listened to that part of the statement that Jehovah God told him. The way that he entered Beit El is not the way that he left Beit El in order that he may return home. Now, verse 11. Now there dwelt an old prophet in Beit El, and one of his sons came and told him all the works that the man of God had done that day in Beit El, and the words which he had spoken unto the king, and they told them unto their father. And their father said unto them, what way went he? And his sons had seen what way the man of God went that came from Judah. And he said unto his sons, saddle me the ass. So they saddled him the ass, and he rode thereon. And he went after the man of God and found him sitting under a terebinth, and he said unto him, art thou the man of God that camest from Judah? And he said, I am. Then he said unto him, come home with me and eat bread. And he said, I may not return with thee, nor go in with thee, neither will I eat bread nor drink water with thee in this place. Again, this is the command that this prophet received directly from the Most High God. But this is what this old man is going to say at this time. Well, actually, there's another verse here, verse 17. For it was said to me by the word of Yahweh, thou shalt eat no bread, nor drink water there, nor turn back to go by the way that thou camest. And he said unto him, I also am a prophet, as thou art. And an angel spoke to me by the word of Yahweh, saying, bring him back with thee into thy house, that he may eat bread and drink water. He lied unto him. Again, this verse, I mean, that part, these last verses, last few words of the verse is letting us know that this man is lying. So he went back with him and did eat bread in his house and drank water. And it came to pass as they sat at the table that the word of Jehovah came into the prophet that brought him back. And he cried unto the man of God that came from Judah, saying, thus says Jehovah, for as much as thou hast rebelled against the word of Jehovah, and hast not kept the commandment which Jehovah thy God commanded thee, but camest back and hast eaten bread and drunk water in the place of which he said to thee, eat no bread, no, and drink no water, thy carcass shall not come into the sepulchre of thy fathers. And it came to pass after he had eaten bread and after he had drunk that he saddled for him the ass, namely for the prophet whom he had brought back. And when he was gone, a lion met him by the way and slew him, and his carcass was cast in the way, and the ass stood by it. The lion also stood by the carcass. And behold, men passed by and saw the carcass cast in the way, and the lion standing by the carcass, and they came and told it in the city where the old prophet dwelt. Just wanted to see, actually, we have a little bit of time, so I could continue reading. And when the prophet that brought him back from the way heard thereof, he said, it is the man of God who rebelled against the word of Jehovah. Therefore, Jehovah have delivered him unto the lion, which have torn him and slain him, according to the word of Jehovah, which he spoke unto him. And he spoke to his son, saying, saddle me the ass, and they saddled it. And he went and found his carcass cast in the way, and the ass and the lion standing by the carcass. The lion had not eaten the carcass, nor torn the ass. And the prophet took up the carcass of the man of God and laid it upon the ass and brought it back. And he came to the city of the old prophet to lament and to bury him. And he laid his carcass in his own grave, and they made lamentation for him. Alas, my brother. And it came to pass after he had buried him that he spoke to his son, saying, when I am dead, then bury me in the sepulchre wherein the man of God is buried. Lay my bones beside his bones, for the saying which he cried by the word of Jehovah against the altar in Bethel and against all the houses of the high places which are in the cities of Samaria shall surely come to pass. After this thing, Jeroboam returned not from his evil way, but made again from among all the people's priests of the high places, whosoever would, he consecrated him that he might be one of the priests of the high places. And by this thing there was sin unto the house of Jeroboam, even to cut it off and to destroy it from off the face of the earth. So again, I know I read that chapter very fast, but just to get into the point of the question was, why did the old prophet lie to the man of God in 1 Kings chapter 13? And there's nothing specifically written within this chapter to say why that man lied to the prophet of God. But when we read in both Deuteronomy chapters 13 and 18, we see that the Most High God will test everybody. The Most High God even tested the prophet that he sent to prophesy and to speak words that were true unto Jeroboam concerning that altar in Bethel. And regardless, and this the lesson that we learn from this is that no matter how high we may think we are or how low we may think we are, or regardless of the position that we have among our people, that everybody is bound to listen to the word of Jehovah God. So this prophet heard the word of Jehovah God directly spoken unto him. And then another individual came and said that Jehovah God spoke to him, saying something different. The prophet that received the word of Jehovah God to prophesy was supposed to listen to the word that Jehovah spoke to him directly. And even if someone else came to him and told him something different, if it contradicts the word of Jehovah God, then he wasn't supposed to listen to it. So again, when we read in Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse 1, it said that we are not supposed to add unto the word of Jehovah God or take away from it. Again, that is a repeat from Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 2. That if anything, as we're reading in the Holy Scriptures, if anything appears to be contradictory, we have to go to the origin. We have to go to the source. We have to go to the beginning. And that's why it's imperative for us to read the Bible from the beginning and continue on. because there may be things that may appear contradictory to us, and it's up to us to pray to the Most High God that he will allow us the opportunity to decipher between what is true and lie, because the contradictions that appear might be the interpretations that we receive from other people. Because God is a God of truth. So as he spoke to this prophet here, words of truth, and someone else came, and this prophet that came also said that he spoke in the name of Jehovah. So this is what we read about in Deuteronomy chapter 18, that there will be prophets that speak in the name of Jehovah God, but the things that they speak about will not come to pass. So this chapter here is given to us as a lesson, and the message for us is to always listen to the word of Jehovah God directly from the source. So as it mentioned in Deuteronomy chapter 18, Jehovah God will raise up prophets that will speak in his name, and unto those prophets we're supposed to hearken unto. And the next question, did the witch of Endor conjure up Samuel or a fake ghost? Samuel, 1 Samuel chapter 28. And I'll actually summarize this chapter for the interest of time. But in this chapter, again, it's 1 Samuel chapter 18. This is after, we'll start, I'll just read. This, of course, is in the time of King Saul, and when King David was already anointed, but King Saul is still alive and still on the throne of Israel. And the prophet Samuel is the one that actually anointed both King Saul and King David. And the prophet Samuel actually loved both of them. But because, again, when it comes to not listening to the word of Jehovah God, and as we read in the previous chapter, that Jehovah God considers that as rebellion. Rebellion is a strong word, but when we go against the word of Jehovah God, Jehovah considers that as rebellion. So when King Saul rebelled against the word of Jehovah God, that he was supposed to go into the territory of the Amalekites, you read about this in, I believe it's 1 Samuel chapter 15, where King Saul was supposed to go into the territory of, actually, there's also a verse that is there that's important for us to learn before we get into that. So 1 Samuel chapter 15. Yeah, so this is the chapter where Saul was commissioned by Jehovah God to kill all of the Amalekites, to not leave anyone alive or any of their animals. And Saul did not hearken to the word of Jehovah God, and some animals were brought back, and the king of the Amalekites was brought back. And King Saul said that the people wanted to bring back the animals as a sacrifice to Jehovah God. So in correlation to our subject today, one of the verses that we read here, verses 22 and 23 of 1 Samuel chapter 15. And Samuel said, has Jehovah as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in hearkening to the voice of Jehovah? Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as idolatry and teraphim. Because thou hast rejected the word of Jehovah, he have also rejected thee from being king. So again, this applies to all of us, that Jehovah, he rather that we just listen to his word, hearken to his voice. It's not about sacrificing. We don't do animal sacrifices today, but even the sacrifices of our lips, our prayers, the Jehovah God prefers that we just listen to him as opposed to just giving sacrifices, because he compares not hearkening to him as rebellion. And as it says here, for rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, which we read about in Deuteronomy chapter 18, which is a sin. And stubbornness is as idolatry and teraphim, which we read about in Deuteronomy chapter 13. So rebelling against the word of the Most High and being stubborn is just as witchcraft and idolatry and teraphim. So we're going to go back into 1 Samuel chapter 28. And again, this is where after the death of Samuel the prophet, so it says in verse 3, now Samuel was dead, and all Israel had lamented him and buried him in Ramah even in his own city, and Saul had put away those that divine the ghost or familiar spirit out of the land, as we read about in Deuteronomy chapter 18. So these questions actually are in relation to everything that we're speaking about. And because of what we read in 1 Samuel chapter 15, that Jehovah God has rejected King Saul is not receiving word from any prophet again. Samuel is dead, and the prophets that do exist during this time are not speaking to King Saul. But King Saul needs, well, I should say he wants an answer based on the wars that he's dealing with the Philistines. And he wants to know which direction he should go. He wants to know whether he will be successful or not. And when he did not receive an answer, what he told the people to do is to go. Actually, what he did, because it says here in verse 6, and when Saul inquired of Jehovah, Jehovah answered him not, neither by dreams, nor by Urim, nor by the prophets. So he went to the high priest, who had the Urim and the Tumim, no answer. He went to the prophets, no answer. Jehovah God had clean cut him off and was not responding to him. So King Saul wanted an answer so he could know which direction to go. And he panicked. That's the best way to describe it. He panicked and he asked the people to go find him someone that can divine by a ghost, because he wants to speak to Samuel. And as you read in 1 Samuel chapter 28, there's a witch in the town called Endor that the people told him it still exists. King Saul was doing the right thing in the beginning by killing all of the witches and all the sorcerers, but he didn't get to all of them. And this one was there left for him in order to be a test unto him. And when he got to the witch of Endor, verse 9, and the woman said unto him, behold, thou knowest what Saul have done, how he have cut off those that divine by a ghost or a familiar spirit out of the land. Wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life to cause me to die? King Saul went to speak to this witch in a disguise. So at this time, she doesn't know that this is King Saul speaking to her, and she knows that King Saul is the one that was killing all the sorcerers and the witches and everybody that divines. And Saul swore to her by Jehovah, saying, as Jehovah lives, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing. Then the woman said, whom shall I bring up to thee? And he said, bring me up Samuel. And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spoke to Saul, saying, why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul. So now when Samuel appears, and we're going to get to the discussion of that. When Samuel appears, she realizes that it was actually King Saul speaking to her. And the king said unto her, be not afraid, for what seest thou? And the woman said unto Saul, I see a godlike being coming up from the earth. And he said unto her, what form is he of? And she said, an old man cometh up, and he is covered with a robe. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel, and he bowed with his face to the ground and prostrated himself. Now, just realize that throughout this entire discourse, Saul never saw anything. It's the witch that he went to that is actually seeing something and relating to King Saul what she is seeing, but realize that King Saul is not seeing anything at this point. And Samuel said to Saul, why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? And Saul answered. So now the communication is going to Saul, but again, just know from the verses prior to that, up to that point, Saul didn't see anything, but now he's receiving the word. And Saul said, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines make war against me, and God has departed from me, and answered me no more, neither by prophets nor by dream. Therefore I have called thee, that thou mayest make known unto me what I shall do. And Samuel said, wherefore then dost thou ask of me, seeing Jehovah is departed from thee, and it's become thine adversary? And we know about that from when we read in 1 Samuel chapter 15. And Jehovah have wrought for himself as he spoke by me, and Jehovah have rent the kingdom out of thy hand, and given it to thy neighbor, even to thy weed, because thou didst not hearken to the voice of Jehovah, and didst not execute his fierce wrath upon Amalek. Therefore have Jehovah done this thing unto thee this day. Again, so that's why we went to 1 Samuel chapter 15 to connect us together. And all of these chapters that we go through today, I encourage everybody to read all of these chapters and take your time reading it. You know, we're going through everything, pretty fast. In verse 19, moreover, Jehovah will deliver Israel also with thee into the hand of the Philistines, and tomorrow shalt thou and thy sons be with me. Jehovah will deliver the host of Israel also into the hand of the Philistines. And that is the word that King Saul received. And my interpretation of this is that Jehovah God sent to King Saul another test. He panicked. He wasn't receiving word from Jehovah God from the high priests or any of the prophets that existed. King Saul panicked. He went to a witch which he was not supposed to go to, and he was doing good in his reign as king because he was killing all the witches and sorcerers and diviners. But his people didn't get to everybody, and and asking his people, they were able to find one that he can go to, and he went there for the purpose of conjuring up information. And this is exactly what we read about in Deuteronomy chapter 18, which we were warned against doing. So at this time, Jehovah God gave to King Saul exactly what he was looking for. It wasn't the answer he was looking for, but Jehovah God gave him exactly what he was looking for. So it doesn't mean that Samuel was raised up, but something happened during this communication between Saul, the witch, and Jehovah God, that Jehovah God at this instant is using the witch to communicate a message to King Saul. And again, King Saul did not see Samuel the prophet directly. He just received the word. So, my interpretation of this is that Jehovah God gave to King Saul exactly what he was looking for, the thing that he was not actually supposed to be looking for, but he gave him exactly what he was looking for and gave him an answer that he didn't want. So I don't think, my interpretation and my belief is not that Samuel was raised up from the dead, but Jehovah God gave the witch a vision of someone that looked like Samuel in order to give a word to King Saul to know about to tell him what was going to happen. And for the next question, we'll see if we can try to do this quickly. Why did God, who supposedly does not lie, deceive, send a lying spirit in the mouths of the prophets to entice Ahab? So this is 1 Kings chapter 21, verses 18 to 23, as it is mentioned in the question. And we'll start from verse 17. 1 Kings chapter 21, verse 17. And the word of Jehovah came to Elijah the Tishbite, saying, let me make sure that we're in the same proper one. It's probably 2 Kings. Maybe the question had 1 King, but I believe it is 2 Kings. Nope, let me go back. I read through 1 Kings too fast and probably skipped over it. I'm familiar with the history of it, but I just want to make sure that it is the correct. It's not 1 Kings 21. I know the history that is being spoken about, but remind me of the correct chapter and verse for that question. But there is a scenario where a lying spirit was sent to someone. And maybe I'm just reading too fast because of the time and just overlooking everything. Yeah, it's not the verses that's in the question, but we'll get back to that. Just reading through to find the questions. Is one appointed by the Most High to be a prophet? It was told to me that anyone can be a prophet of the Most High because they feel that they are speaking truth or teaching Torah, Tanakh in this day. So in terms of that question, the literal meaning of a prophet is, so the word in Hebrew for prophet is nabi. And we'll get the translation. I'm going to read it from the lexicon here. Nabi or Navi, again, is the Hebrew word for prophet. A prophet who has actuated by a divine aphetus or spirit either rebuked the conduct of kings and nations or predicted future events. That is the initial definition of prophet. I'm looking for where, and it's probably not coming up here, but the root of the word prophet, actually, let me put it here, from Nabah, which is to prophesy. There is also a word, I'll read the second definition here, to show, to declare, specifically used of a prophet who reveals or declares the words of God to men. So Nabi is a word, it actually also means to inspire, and I was looking to see if that word would appear in the lexicon here. But a prophet is one that inspires. So in today's time, it wouldn't be wrong for an individual to be called a prophet, just by the literal translation of the name or the word prophet. It wouldn't be wrong for an individual to be called a prophet if they are speaking, even, if they're speaking the word of Jehovah God, if they're speaking the word of Jehovah God as is already written and is speaking it in a manner to inspire people to return or turn to Jehovah God. It would not be inaccurate to, again, call someone in today's time a prophet. The problem comes in when you have a prophet, because again, whether a prophet is speaking truth or a prophet is speaking lies, whether a prophet is speaking the word of Jehovah God, whether a prophet is speaking the name of false God, a prophet would still be a prophet. It's incumbent upon us as the audience to listen to a prophet that's speaking the word of Jehovah God and speaking the true words of Jehovah God and not directing people in the wrong direction. So hopefully that answers that question. So in terms of today's time, whether someone that is speaking the truth of Torah or Tanakh can be called a prophet, literally an individual, yet today's time can be called a prophet that is speaking the word of Jehovah God. And I'm going to acknowledge the question about Lot. I'll get back to that because what we attempt to do, and not to purposely skip over the question, when we have our subjects, focus on the questions that relate to the subject, and then time permitting, we go back. But I'll read off the question, and if we have time, we'll answer it today. If not, we'll answer it another time. The question is, I do have a question about Lot on letting his daughters, if they already had husbands, wouldn't they be adultery to send them out to the crowd of people? So that's the question. But again, we'll speak about that time permitting. Next question is, can the deaths of Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who had arisen to deliver Black Americans descended from enslavement, legacy be considered in context with Deuteronomy chapter 13, verses 1 through 18? So in my opinion, I wouldn't regard Malcolm X or Dr. Martin Luther King as prophets. They had their religions, they spoke in the name of their gods, but I wouldn't connect them to what we read about in Deuteronomy chapter 13 in regards to a false prophet, because they were, again, individuals, and you'll have many individuals today that will speak, on behalf of Black people, whether in America or abroad throughout the world, and speaking about, our conditions, speaking about the things that we need to do on a social and economic level in order to get out of the situation that we are in, that would, rise up to speak against racism, bigotry, and prejudice. So those individuals, male and female, I wouldn't connect them with Deuteronomy chapter 13 as being false prophets. Again, those people that, as the children of Israel are scattered throughout the earth, part of the scattering is that the children of Israel would succumb to worshiping gods of wood and stone, as we read about in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28. So those things were already foretold. So there will be people that inspire Black Americans and Black people around the world to seek improvement, to seek betterment in their lives. But again, I wouldn't connect that to Deuteronomy 13. And then comment in regards to the question, great question. I am interested to hear more, as I often consider them as well as others to be modern day prophets. So again, my answer to that is that those would not, we can consider them, no, I say I wouldn't consider them prophets. I know the term modern day prophets, and you can have prophets, again, of various backgrounds, various beliefs. Again, your original, I didn't find the word I was looking for in this lexicon that came up, but the word of a prophet, the nabi in Hebrew, is one that inspires. So anyone that, speaks words to inspire people would be considered a prophet. But I wouldn't consider, again, Malcolm X or Dr. Martin Luther King as those. And also, even though the question didn't mention it, I wouldn't relate their deaths, because there are people that would say that their deaths came about because they were false prophets. But again, I wouldn't consider that as well. I have read the book from beginning to end, and on many occasions, I no longer go out of the 5 books. I realize anything outside of the 5 books, they stayed wicked, knowing what was meant for them to do. They were stiff-necked people all the way. If the new gossip existed, they were still stiff-necked. I know what is commanded to do in order to receive the blessings and not the curse, so I need to stay in remembrance of that, so I stay in the first 5 books. Just going through to get to other questions. Question about Martin Luther King. I know a lot of people in my hometown lost a great deal. They had businesses, well-known people at nice homes. We lived in nice areas. And when he came along with that, we deserved more. People gave their businesses, gave up their homes, moved away to go march with him and to go live in areas where we were not welcome at. We were in small towns in Fort Worth, and it never got back the same. My hometown was never the same, and I do believe, well, I know he was a false prophet. He wanted us to live among the heathens and do what they did, whatever. And there's a comment about, and I just, as a reminder to everyone at any time, because again, Chief Uziel is in the midst of traveling, or actually he's getting ready to travel at this point. So at any point he will return, and we will be off. So I'm just going to read some of these questions until it's time for him to actually go. Okay.
I'm here, Rabbi.
All right. I was just giving you, I know you're still getting ready, so I'm just reading some of these final questions before you have to shut off the stream. Yeah, there was a comment that says it's a good thing this is being recorded. So whatever questions that we do not get to, we will go back into. And I want to make sure I do not skip over anything.
Also, I asked the people to use the comment section after the video is posted. You can ask questions in the comment. If you have a question, or if you hear this later, you could put your questions in the comments. Don't forget to comment. Also, like the stream, share it. These are things that all help the program and the algorithm to go higher, and more people will tune in. Right?
Yes.
The rabbi doesn't mind answering questions. So
I'm just trying to make sure.
I think that was it for questions.
Yeah, there's some correction because one of the questions had the wrong chapter and verse in it. Actually, what we'll do is just do a part 2.
Okay.
We'll do a part 2 to the prophet. So as Chief Uziel just mentioned, you can continue to put your questions and comments within this chat, of course, until it goes down. And then even after the video is down, continue to put your questions and comments. So yeah, we're going to have a question. We're going to get into the question about the lying prophet that existed. So the correction was made that it should be 1 Kings chapter 22, verses 17 through 23. Yep, and that's the chapter for that question. Yeah, so we'll do a part 2 about prophets and prophecy, or the role of the prophet. And let me see what's taking place in 1 Kings chapter 17, since that was put there. Okay, that's about Elijah the prophet. So we thought that this would be yeah, a one-part thing, or just something that would just go real quick, but yeah, we'll definitely do a part 2. And again, just to remind everybody that we do focus on doing an hour, per week of our Bible study, 9 a.m. Eastern time, before everybody goes off to their day. So we don't want to delay people, especially Chief Uziel or anybody else that has things to do that they have to do today. So that's why we do it this early in the morning, so that people would have an opportunity to do it. But a bulk of the questions I see are actually answered. So we're going to get back to the one about the lying prophet and any other questions that come up. And also just focusing on that verse that I said that
Which one with the prophet that was told
lying
to go
prophet.
a different way?
No, that question, we answered that one already.
Okay.
This is one about a lying. No, where a prophet said that he got the vision that a lying spirit was sent into the mouths of the false prophets,
Right.
to lead the king astray. So we'll focus more on that the next
This is
time.
in the prophecy, right?
Yeah, this is it's in 1 Kings chapter 22.
Okay. So this is not the one that the lion kills the prophet.
No, yeah, that was
The first one.
yeah, the first question that we answered. Yeah.
I think the answer for that one is that God will send someone to prove you, to see
Yeah.
if you follow his words. So God gave the word to go a certain way. He listened to man.
Yeah.
And then that man was the same one that brought him his
His
the outcome.
demise.
Yeah. What was
Yeah,
going to
because
happen.
he received word directly from Jehovah God, and then when somebody said that they heard from Jehovah God, it was contradictory to what he heard directly.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, this one is going to need a little bit more time to answer, but to give a better explanation. But to give the short answer right now, we read in Deuteronomy chapter 13 that God will send people to test us. So we know God does not lie, but God will test us to see whether we will follow him or not. That's the short answer. But the next time we return to the subject, we'll go into 1 Kings chapter 22. We'll start before verse 17 and be able to give a better answer in regards to that, or any other question that people have in regards to prophets. We'll do that in our part 2. And as mentioned, we'll see if we'll be able to come on. Chief Uziel will still be traveling, well, be away. So we'll have to see how the setup will be for the stream for next week. But whenever time we return, we'll do a part 2 on this subject.
Hallelujah. Thanking the Most High God, King of the universe, for all things and everything, praying that the Most High be with us all, guide and protect us. As I say these words, I pray that the Most High God will bless us all. Yivareka Yehovah Yishmareka. Ya'ir Yehovah Panawaleka Wikuneka. Yisa Yehovah Panawaleka Wayasemleka. Shalom. May Yehovah bless thee and keep thee. May Yehovah cause his face to shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. May Yehovah lift up his countenance upon thee and may he grant thee peace. Hallelujah. Amen. Shalom, shalom, family. Hopefully, I'll see you next week, and we could get this done. We'll get it done one way or the other, but we'll see. And I pray that the Most High God will bless us all. Shalom, shalom.
Let's get knowledge, wisdom, understanding. We'll do our standing. All praises to the Most High, His laws and commandments. The CHOKMAH BINAH here to push it through your speakers. Judgment, truth, and love should be coming from the leaders. Yeah, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. We'll do our standing. All praises to the Most High, His laws and commandments. The CHOKMAH BINAH here to push it through your speakers.